people, many firms will be approved for a Bitcoin ETF. And when that happens, that will bring with it an institutional acceptance that really could highlight the scarcity value of Bitcoin.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Cathie Wood discuss about Bitcoin and investing. Cathie Wood says, academic research has shown that private banking in the United States prior to the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. When I pointed out that this was a boom and bust cycle, to which he said yes, but adding that the cycles, what we're doing with monetary policy today, would have happened rapidly and without as much difficulty as it has recently. Damage these days, we just plug the dies in and lose some money, following another, until finally, after many years, the world is plunged into a tremendous crisis. Get over it. That was very intriguing. And I remember saying at the time that when I asked Art how huge his idea was, he responded, well, how? The size of the US dollar's base, in contrast to today, when the monetary base of the reserve currency is $8. The size of this, he continued, might be trillions of dollars if this is going to develop into a successful international currency system, And so we took off running with it, and we're still going because you're correct. We've only just began. And it's fascinating to observe that there are currently 19 billion million Bitcoin in circulation. At that rate, the scarcity value argument used to justify the store of value is going to have an even greater impact. The SEC will eventually give in, and I think that now is the time. Chairman Gary Gensler has issued a statement regarding the ongoing Bitcoin dispute. He's going through his own version of Vietnam, and he wants to throw it out. Because our CEO, Tom Stout, thinks it's a bad idea. Maybe plenty of people and businesses will get Bitcoin ETF approval, and then that, inevitably, will lead to institutional consequences acceptance. I guess that might show how valuable Bitcoin scarcity is, and lots of things Cathie would discuss, so please watch the video to end, and share, subscribe our channel every day.
Well, I first describe what it is, and I ask them to listen very carefully to each of the words that I'm saying. It is the first global, private, meaning no government intervention, rules-based, if I didn't say digital, I should say it now, digital monetary system that the world has ever known. It is a very big idea. And in fact, what I often do is describe what Art Laffer said to me after he finished reading the paper. And, he basically said, I think I might have mentioned it, I've been waiting for this since they closed the gold window. Monetary policy has been completely unhinged. There's no discipline. We're going through booms and busts that are completely unnecessary. And I did say to him, I said, if we went back to a private money, and I'll get back to how we help people understand this. He's very excited about a private money, but, in studying the history of private money in the United States prior to the Fed, 1913, I said, but Art, that was a period of booms and busts. And he said, yes, but they happened very quickly. What we're doing with monetary policy right now, they happened quickly back then without a terrible amount of damage. What we do these days is plug the dikes and make one monetary mistake after another, and we end up in a global, massive crisis that takes years to get over. So that was interesting. And I did say at the time, I said, well, Art, if this is such a big idea, how big is it? And he said, well, how big is the U.S. monetary base, the reserve currency's monetary base? Back then it was $4.5 trillion. Today it's $8 trillion. He said, there's your answer. There's your answer, how big this could be if this is going to become an effective global monetary system. And so we ran with it, and we have not stopped running, because you're right, we have just begun. And it is interesting to note that, we're up to 19 million Bitcoin, and we're going to 21 million. So the scarcity value argument, the store of value, is going to resonate even more, because I believe when the SEC does relent, and it will, now that Chairman Gary Gensler is calling, the controversy around the Bitcoin ETF his personal Vietnam. So he probably wants to get rid of it. Our COO, Tom Stout, feels that we will have, not we, maybe many people, many firms will be approved for a Bitcoin ETF. And when that happens, that will bring with it an institutional acceptance that really could highlight the scarcity value of Bitcoin. And institutions are not the only story. Thank you for reading our Big Ideas 2023, and in there you see our building blocks to a $600,000 to $650,000 price, and perhaps $1 to $1.5 million price by 2030. We think most people in the world, at the very least, should have some of their assets in Bitcoin as an insurance policy against confiscation of wealth. And that can happen in a number of ways. It can happen outright. So to see MBS in Saudi Arabia lock his cousins up in the Ritz Hotel and just take their wealth, that's confiscation. That's outright confiscation. And then, of course, there's inflation, which is also confiscation of wealth. It's a cruel tax. It's very regressive. And Bitcoin would be an important hedge against that for anyone, but especially for lower income people. Well, first of all, we give our research away, and I can tell you some of the most rewarding moments of my career and life, I would say, is when someone comes up to me and my colleagues and says, "Thank you for educating us about this." We put our money in, and I would say the two top ones on this are Bitcoin and Tesla. We put our money in. We keep reading your research. We believe your research is correct. We're not going to sell, and our nest egg has grown. Or in some case, I was able to buy my house, or in another case, I was able to educate my children. I mean, wow, that's pretty humbling. So that's a lot of the reward. But I think I also I love educating not just investors, but everyone, especially young people who who can take this kind of volatility and stick with it, keep their eye on the prize, and think about an incredible retirement if they make the right investment decisions. The young people today are much more savings minded than my generation was. And in fact, in my generation, it was the beginning of mutual funds. That's how far back I go. And I remember how difficult it was to get people, especially young people, to think about investing their money in equities for sure, because they had been under such duress for so long. But we knew, now that we were getting more disciplined monetary policy, that equities and fixed income were going to be good places. But consumers back then and investors back then were very scared. Very different today, and so they express a lot of gratitude for our research, and they have inspired us also to not only, of course, put an application in there for the Bitcoin ETF and other ETFs, but also to start a venture fund and get in even earlier. We started that, it's fledgling, but it's doing well. We've already had some liquidity events, which is hopefully not beginner's luck, but we're on our way. So I think the education, being able to educate, open people's eyes to this new world, these new opportunities, help them get on the right side of change so that their lives can be better, whether financially or emotionally or any which wise, from being on the right side of change and having the confidence based on, education, that they are on the right side of change.